Okay, so let's talk about aging your narcissistic parent and grief. And this is sort of an add-on episode to what I talked about in episode 9 of my YouTube channel, which came about because I had filmed a TikTok at Talk with Anna about your aging narcissistic parent, and it was one of the videos that got the most views. And in a way, I was surprised, and in a way, I wasn't surprised. I mean, I wasn't surprised because I have parents that are in their mid-70s and early 80s. And I know for me, I'm in my later 30s, but still my parents are older, and I've had to encounter these issues at a little bit of a younger age. But I know I'm not alone. But what complicates it is that I'm dealing with not only the aging parent thing at a younger age, I'm dealing with that layer of dealing with a narcissistic parent and honestly an alcoholic family system at the exact same time. And when I was filming this YouTube episode, I noticed like a big wave of grief still coming over me, which is why I wanted to talk more about this topic, because I knew if I'm hitting on an emotional truth within myself, it's probably going to resonate with a lot of you out there, which is that kind of like what I talked about in the YouTube episode. I always thought, I'll just state it again, that we would be able to resolve things more by the time that my parents got older. I really did think that maybe when they were older, they would see me more as an equal or a trusted party, and maybe we wouldn't have so much conflict as a result, because I thought historically that a lot of the conflict we had was because they were still viewing me as a child, so they really needed to push their agenda onto me. And I realized that maybe doesn't happen in the same way, but the conflict certainly does happen. And I think that obviously there's some generation gaps, right? Where the value system they have, like politics, for example, even though we've sort of reached a little bit of some sort of recognition of the boundary that maybe we shouldn't talk about that. And also they've shifted some of their beliefs around politics, which I honestly was shocked that they even did, because as many of you know, with probably your difficult or narcissistic parent, it's rare that they ever change their mind, and it's rare that they even allude to being wrong. But again, I think that when I think about what complicated our relationships, I can kind of look to some of what happened in the sort of first Trump-Biden election cycle that created some conflict between us. And again, I think that one of the things that was interesting was I did notice that since we were, having different viewpoints, that maybe we shouldn't talk about it, right? And that was really never respected. And again, I'm not saying anything that you out there are so shocked by, but what I think I didn't expect is then they kind of proceeded to poke fun at the issue a lot of times, which for me, growing up with them, I know this is their pattern, but with my spouse, I felt really protective of him because I know that the issue runs a bit deeper for him and differently than for me. And it is really embarrassing when your parent does the bad behavior to someone you're in a relationship with. Because in a way, you are used to it. In a way, it's been painful for you, but you can accept it. But I think it really it was disappointing for me. I think that's as I'm talking, what's coming up for me. I just feel disappointment at the way things have gone. And I think I tried so many different tactics to kind of better things with them that it's been sad. I think that what I want to say on this issue is, obviously sometimes I forget their ages, right? I don't always see them like a 75-year-old, an 83-year-old. I was an only child, and I have 2 step siblings who I'm very happy to report we are in a really great place now, and I've gotten to know them really well. But what I want to say is, it was a lot of sense of isolation, in the sense of not having a lot of extended family. So where was I headed with this? So I think that it just put more pressure on the relationship to make it work, because if I can't make it work with them, it's kind of like that think of well, what family am I really left with? And my husband, both his biological parents have passed away, which was very hard for him. And and for us together. But I think that those of you that have very small immediate families can probably really relate to the extra layer of intensity when you think about the few family relationships you have not being positive. But anyway, so I think like logically I can understand that them being in their 70s and then 80s, like what I could have expected from them before, I can't expect from them now. And even they've gotten on board with the idea that hopefully most of the time we just do like a breakfast or a lunch and that's it. And for me, that's been sad because we used to historically at least attempt to see each other for maybe like a full day, to maybe go to a movie, to maybe go to a comedy show. But it seems like anything more than a meal can create some conflict, either within me, within them, within both of us. Oh, I think that's the dog. My husky is coming to join the party here. I think one of the actual coping skills I've used to deal with some grief and loss is just, I now have 3 dogs. So that's a topic for another day. We'll have to take some pictures of the husky to show all of you. But yeah, I think really lowering my expectations, and I have a podcast I'm going to talk about that, is just really like if it is too risky and I can't act my best because I'm being triggered by them, I have to really limit the duration of the time I spend with them. Like for example, last year, something happened. I did try to take them to a comedy show, and then I realized like they said some things that I felt like were pretty inappropriate, and not even appropriate like super publicly, also just to be around people. And again, maybe if I wasn't with them and they were just those quirky old people, whatever their commentary was might have been gone by the wayside. But when you're with those people and those people are your parents, man, it really can do a number on you. And you also feel the need to intervene and protect like them from, also try to educate them of like, hey, this is how you're coming across. But then with like a narcissistic parent, you're also like, where is this even gonna go? And like, it was funny because I really tried to push my husband after it happened, like, let's talk to them again. Let's have a full-on conversation about why you shouldn't say these things. And he's like, I don't know if we should do that. And I really had to take a moment and think to myself, okay, you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm starting to, again, try too hard, try to get too involved here, and it really could be emotionally triggering. And I know if you have a narcissistic, alcoholic family, that you probably too can relate to that feeling of when you're trying to lean in to almost like parent them, and how that can go really south for you if you get too far into that. So I just want to say that if you are dealing with an aging narcissistic parent, you're probably dealing with just extra waves of grief. The grief of your parent aging, but the grief that things may never really resolve, not in the way you wanted them to, that's for sure. And I think that's when like the idea of, you know, adding in more supports to your life if at all possible. I've been making big efforts to, you know, be open to new friendships, to take more time to be with friends that like kind of give me that maternal feeling, I got a husky. And again, like, you know, I think that obviously that doesn't solve the problem. That's not what I'm saying. But I give myself a lot of extra compassion for the reasons why those things are important to me and why they actually help support me while, you know, I'm in a grieving process. And also I think like it's hard to kind of like, at least with my stepdad who's in his early 80s, realize like I don't even know if he's fully comprehending everything I'm saying. So when I do get frustrated with him, sometimes, like, again, similarly to what I described my husband, we're just like, oh, let's just let it go. And again, it's not in the same way as we once would have, in the sense of like we're just keeping quiet. Now we're like, hey, I don't even know if cognitively they're fully understanding things. So I guess I'll come back to this topic because I feel like I didn't fully flesh out the grieving component in the way I wanted to, but I think I painted the picture, and hopefully you resonate with something more there. And if you want to listen to the YouTube channel on it, it was episode 9 where I just started talking about aging parents and your narcissistic parent. So thanks for listening.